I am furious. I am livid. I am incensed. I am angry. And yes, today I am the angry woman and proud to wear that banner. I was going to be releasing a completely different video today, but this came up on my feed while I was having my lunch. It is an interview from LBC. Tom Swarbrick is the journalist, the presenter. He's not one of my favourite presenters. He is rather right-leaning. And to be honest, I think that he fails a lot in his questioning of the various MPs that he interviews on his show. He was interviewing Jess Phillips. She's a Labour MP for the Birmingham Yardley constituency. And she is also the Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State for Safeguarding and Violence Against Women and Girls. And Jess Phillips is probably my most favourite MP. She has stood up for women's rights her entire career. She stands up in Parliament every year, generally to an empty chamber, and reads out all the names of all the women who are victims of femicide, victims of their partners, their husbands, and men unaliving them. Those women have generally suffered years of DV, SA, SV, and possibly Grape. These women, the names that she reads out, are women of all ethnicities, all cultures, all skin colours. And it saddens me that not enough people listen, that not enough people do anything around the violence that is faced by women and girls. So Tom Swarbrick was interviewing her, and I'm going to play, there's two shorts that came up. I want to try and find the full interview at some stage. I don't know where I'll find it, but I will do my best to find it. And so there's two shorts. I'm going to play the first short. I'm going to play that through, and then I'm playing again with my comments. And then I'm going to read out some of the comments from that video. And then I'll play the second one and do the same. You will understand, if you are a woman, why I am so mad and so angry and so furious about the way women are treated. And this goes for women being treated like this in interviews when they are interviewed by men.
Afghans are 20%, according to these numbers, 20 times more likely to account for sex offence convictions than British people. Does that concern you?
I mean, like, I have to look across all of this data and think about where I have to really focus and target resources on the prevention work that I am determined to do.
Do you think there are people in this country who have a culturally very, very different view of women and therefore are more likely to engage in these kinds of activities?
Which culture doesn't have patriarchy and misogyny in it? Because
do you think?
No, I mean, like that. I have seen victims and perpetrators from every single walk of life.
Do you think we are a fundamentally misogynistic?
I tell you what the group of people who are most likely to abuse, that is men.
Afghans are.
So in this video, the first thing that Swarbrick says is that Afghans are 20% more likely to receive a conviction.
20%, according to these numbers, 20 times more likely to account for sex offence convictions than British people.
So 20 times more likely to receive a conviction. I have my theories here, so bear with me as I discuss these theories. First of all, these violent, disgusting, despicable crimes against women are incredibly difficult to prove. Women are ignored. Women can have proof of what has happened to them. They can have witnesses, and yet they can go to the police, give the police this information, and still that information is not handed over to the CPS, the Crime Prosecution Services, because there's insufficient evidence. And the sergeant of the police service in that area is who decides that. It is the only crime where the victim has to supply the evidence themselves. In court, it is their word against your word. And it is ridiculous. Often, and most often, with all Grape and SV and SA and DV cases, the man is found to be acquitted because there is insufficient evidence. It becomes a he said, she said. Women have a raw deal when it comes to the way we are treated in the entire world. The entire world. We have fought for our rights for centuries, and still we are fighting for those rights. So he mentions 20 times more likely for Afghan men to be prosecuted, to be found guilty. One of my theories on that is that they have a different skin colour and a different religion. And that a jury of their peers here in the United Kingdom will probably have a number of white people in the jury. The media tells us that men of colour, specifically those of Muslim faith, are more likely to commit these kinds of crimes. Look at the grooming gangs. Look at how they have been, blown up in the media. The Rotherham gang. They were, Pakistani men. They were Asian men. So already there is this prejudice in most people's minds that these kind of crimes are only committed by those kind of men. So angry.
Does that concern you?
I have to look across all of this data and think about where I have to really focus and target resources on the prevention work that I am determined to do.
Do you think there are?
And I agree with her there, because this perception, and again, it's all about communications from the media. The media love to stir. If it bleeds, it leads. And because these sort of crimes will incense white men and white women, because, oh, look what they're doing. Look what's happening there. They're the ones to blame. When actually it is all men. All men. And I'm saying all men for a reason. And I'm going to get into that in a little while.
People in this country who have a culturally very, very different view of women and therefore are more likely to be engaged in these kinds of activities?
Yes, they may have a cultural different view of women. However, all men dislike women, every single one of them. Every single man wants to dominate a woman. Every single man views a woman as a slave, as somebody who will look after them, as somebody who will fix their boo-boos, as somebody who will cook for them, clean for them, who will raise the children for them, who will fall pregnant for them, who they can have intercourse with whenever they want. It is not just that kind of culture. It is every kind of culture. The WHO, in its statistics, 1 in 3 women around the world, the entire world, are victims of Grape. Rape crisis here in the United Kingdom. 1 in 4 women are victims of Grape. Now, I know that men are going to come, yes, but men are graped too. And yeah, I know that. But who grapes them? The vast majority are men. Men are the problem.
Which culture doesn't have patriarchy and misogyny in it? Because
Do you think?
I mean, like that. I have seen victims and perpetrators from every single walk of life.
Do you think we are a fundamentally misogynistic?
I tell you what the.
Yes, we are a misogynistic patriarchal society. That is evident. Absolutely 100% evident. Look at who rules the world. The current world leader is none other than the orange one, Donald Trump. The man is a convicted rapist. He's a felon. He has male privilege. So every single man around the world can see this and think to themselves, if he can do it, I can do it. Because he got away with it and he's the president. When I say in charge of the world, he is pretty much the leader that the Western world look up to. The majority of the world look up to. And it is infuriating that people voted him into power. They didn't vote Kamala Harris into power. A woman who would have made so much difference to America and stood up for women's rights. Now, I'm British. I understand that. But American politics affects the entire world. And if you can't see that, then please go and get your eyes tested at Specsavers. It's 2 for 1. And, you know, one thing that annoys me is that men will say, gender studies are a waste of time. Why do they say that? Because they know they are the perpetrators. They want to be able to get away with perhaps, you know, hitting a woman from time to time or, you know, graping their own wife. Because to them, being married means consent. A woman having given consent once means that they will always give consent.
The group of people who are most likely to abuse, that is men.
Afgan.
She is right. She is 100% right. Yes, we have Ghislaine Maxwell, who, yes, I absolutely believe is guilty. I was asked that the other day, do I think that she's not guilty then? No, I do think she's guilty, but I also think that she was groomed into doing that. That's a topic of conversation for a different day. But this report, I don't know what report it is because it doesn't actually say, so I'm going to have to investigate to find out what report it is. But saying that 20 times more likely to receive a conviction indicates that white men get away with it because they are white. And each time I would like to see the makeup of the jury. Is it mostly men? Is it mostly women? Because it's always a he said, she said. And of course, the jury has to rule beyond a reasonable doubt. And as I said, the woman, the victim, is the one that has to give the evidence, that has to give the proof. Let me put it into a different context. Let's say you go to your friend's house and you steal their television. And then you go and sell their television. And your friend accuses you and the police come round, but you don't have that television anymore. Therefore, you can't be guilty. It's the exact same thing. That person did it. You know that that person did it. But the evidence is gone. And that's the exact same thing with Grape, SV, SA and DV. Unless the woman has recorded it. And many, many times. In my own personal experience, these things happen so quickly and so fast that you do not have the time to record these things. So I'm going to read some of the comments here. let's see what some of them say. Okay, so my comment was, Jess is right. Men are the problem. It doesn't matter what religion, skin colour, ethnicity or culture, they all hate women. They all want to dominate women. Please look at the figures and statistics. WHO statistics, 1 in 3 women have been raped. In the UK rape crisis, 1 in 4 women. Someone you know has suffered at the fists of men. This is a patriarchal and misogynistic world. One person here, Foghorn Leghorny, actually like that name. As a man, I couldn't agree with her more. Sean says, exposed, completely despicable. Blue Cheese, I don't know whether they're male or female. Like many Labour people, she's an activist, not a politician. Andy Bryce says, Jess Phillips understands the data when comparing men to women, but conveniently stops understanding it when comparing different countries. Okay, first of all, it's not countries, it was cultures. Andy doesn't understand the system and how it works, how the evidence is ignored by the CPS. He doesn't understand that, yes, there is a level of two-tier policing, and that policing is in favour of white people, of white men. So if the man has potentially committed Grape and he's white, he's probably going to get away with it. But if it's a person of a different culture, they're probably not going to get away with it. Doesn't mean that people of a different culture are any more or less likely to commit those crimes. What it means is that people are colourblind. Another person, Charles, another man. Look at the figures and you can see exactly who are the problem. Again, critical thinking skills. Where is your critical thinking? Why are you seeing that as the problem? Customer complaint. Again, don't know if this is a man or a woman. She's thinking, how can I skew this into blaming Andrew Tate? Well, you know, blame him for many, many, many things that happen to women around the world. Melon Maniac. Again, I don't know if this is a man or a woman. When you ignore the root of the problem wins. Yes, people are ignoring the root of the problem. The root of the problem is men. Craig Sims, another man, says, what a state, she don't give a poop. Martin says, that's a great way to run a country. Dodge questions and pretend things aren't happening. No, she's not pretending that things aren't happening. She stands up in the House of Commons every single year and reads out the list of names of women who have been victims of femicide. And more than half of those women are of a different culture. Women who have been raped by white men get no justice because of white male privilege. Glenn, another man. Jess, Deflection Phillips, the failing for women minister. No, she's not failing. He, Tom Swarbrick, did not ask the right questions. Tigger, don't know if this is man or woman. Her refusal to even recognise that there is a problem renders her as much of an abuser as the men in question. This person said men. Men. SRFS Summer says, she is literally the epitome of misandry while accusing the world of misogyny. Her gloating smile at the end, pathetic. Ben, sickening. 20 times more likely to abuse than other groups, yet she refuses to answer the question, despicable. Didn't say abuse, said convicted of. In other words, found guilty of. Why? Because of the colour of their skin. How? How do we get this across to men? This is a skewing of the statistics. Does she seriously have no understanding of statistical evidence? Why do they continue to put our loved ones at risk? This person doesn't have an understanding of statistical evidence. He clearly said 20 times more convictions of Afghan men. Again, why? Why is that? I'm actually going to do another video on the other clip of this interview from LBC, because this is already 20 minutes long and I'm still very angry. And I'm going to be angry for a long time over this, because until we get across to men that they are the problem, they are the ones that need to change. And yes, it is all men, because we know there are good men. We know that, but we don't know which ones they are. And I say this all the time. All men at the beginning of a relationship present as wonderful, as lovely, as kind, as generous. And then 3 months, 4 months, 3 years down the line, they turn into this horrible, horrendous being that will abuse and harm a woman when they get tired of her, when they think they need a change, when they think they want a younger woman. And it happens to so many of us. So this person, Spudgeon, has no understanding of statistics and statistical evidence, because you need to dig deeper into that evidence to see why white British men are not convicted. Guys, watch the next video. Click like if you can. Please subscribe. Please share this with as many women as you can out there. And those men that are out there, help us. Those of you who love women, help us. Point out the men in your life who are misogynistic. Point them out. The men that say, look at what she's wearing. Oh, I'd give her one. Oh, she's drunk. Oh, get back in the kitchen, woman. You know, this is my ball and chain. This is my, you know, better half or other half or worse half. Or those are tropes. Those are misogynistic, patriarchal tropes that men use to degrade women. Did you know the term, the rule of thumb? I hate that term. Do you know why? Because it stems from the fact that a man was not allowed to have a stick to beat his wife any bigger, thicker than his thumb. Don't use that term. You are just repeating that misogynistic trope and ingraining it into our society so that boys growing into men think that they can do whatever they like to girls. And as you can see from these comments, the vast majority are male. The vast majority are male. I've yet to have a response, but I hope I do, because I shall be angry typing away.